And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Ian Safar here with you. Hope everybody had an outstanding weekend. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, welcome back. Good morning. How we doing?
Doing all right. Good to be back. Thank you. And sorry that I missed the immediate reaction to the stirring Titans victory. 1-0, baby. 6-1 in their last 7 preseason games. I just want to point that out. So, we ripped the Titans for all these different things, but by golly, in August, they know how to pull out some football games.
It's good to know, man.
Yeah.
Hey, got to win sometime.
It's building a winning culture is what I call it.
Slow build.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Long fuse, slow build.
We are getting there. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Yeah, something like that. Building some momentum here.
Yeah.
But doing just fine, thanks. Good weekend. It was hot out there, huh? But spent some time at the pool. Did a little bit of yard work yesterday. Paced myself, just the front yard.
Okay.
Had to take a pause on the back half there. Work on that this week. But doing good. Could use a little bit of rain, I think.
I think so.
But yeah, it was a good weekend. So everyone's back to school, getting back into the routine, but doing good, thanks.
Yeah, we're about to get about a month of total drought to pay us back for actually how rainy it's been this
Yeah,
summer,
I'd say
probably.
August, September are usually some of our drier months.
Yeah.
I don't have scientific
I believe you're correct.
Rationale behind that, just more of a feeling. But yeah, it was hot. That's for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
It's definitely hot. So stay hydrated, stay cool. Still a couple more days, I think, of the heat before we get some breaks here.
I was on the
Hopefully.
couch yesterday. I watched every shot of the golf tournament yesterday.
Wow.
Every one of them. It was awesome. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Did not take a step outside. It was beautiful.
And your guy won.
By a
So,
lot.
By a lot.
8-stroke win.
Reveling in it. This
for
is like when
Scotty Scheffler.
if the Vols are up like 40 on
I
Missouri.
can always keep going.
You're like, pass it, keep passing,
Yeah.
Josh. Yeah.
That's one of the things I like the most about Heupel, is because he will. He'll keep doing it. We don't run into that opportunity very often, but yes, very much enjoyed Scheffler's dominant victory yesterday. For all you haters out there, have some of that.
There you go, Scotty. And so, and this is FedEx Cup. So
Yeah, this is playoff.
yeah,
That's when it matters, man.
Yeah.
Except for the majors, actually.
Right.
But,
Except for the most important stuff that's already happened. But
except for all that. But yeah, it doesn't matter. So good stuff from Scheffler in our state yesterday. Shout out to Memphis
yeah.
out there. Joe, some headlines over the weekend that were not good for teams around here. Well, let's start on the college football front. A starting safety, Idris Farouk for Tennessee, torn patellar tendon in practice on Friday, and he will miss the entire season. So a guy that made some plays for Tennessee last year, they were very excited about in fall camp. And if you listen to Heupel over the weekend, it was basically a play in practice where there wasn't a whole lot of contact and the body just kind of bent a certain way. And now Tennessee has lost a starting safety. They've already lost a linebacker for the year. A little bit, not crazy, but a little bit of the injury bug starting to take place in Knoxville in fall camp.
Yeah, that's not a guy. That's just not a guy you want to lose. You can say about any defensive starter or whatever, but I just feel like he was going to be one of those, guys with a lot of snaps under his belt. Obviously, at that position to have experience back there, different defense. That's a tough one for the Vols. Some bad luck, and they've had too much. I feel like bad luck. Maybe I'm like, I'm thinking of something like, without full context, but I just feel like they've had a pretty bad run with some of this stuff.
Well, like I said, you've already had some losses in the linebacker room. If you want to look back at let's say you take a snapshot of the roster in April or in March, and you're like, okay, so this is kind of what you're looking at on the defensive side of the ball. Well, now you lost Farouk for the year. Coleman basically never showed up. So, that's two guys that you were counting on right there back in the spring where you were putting your roster together that were going to play a lot for you and that are just not going to be there. So, I don't know that I would say that it's insurmountable what they've lost on the defensive side of the ball, but you're going to put that depth to the test. I mean, and if you want to go specifically for the Georgia Tech game, I mean, think about no Farouk, no Coleman, and no Carter for that game. That could end up being a problem.
Yeah. Well, and like we said before with Carter, that's the game where he gets like 17 tackles. And honestly, like Farouk would get like 11. I mean, like that's the type of game it's going to be. So, yeah, the guys filling in got to bring the lunch pail that day. And there are some young guys that they're excited about, and they do. They have some depth. They have some but you'd much rather be able to sort of weave them in and let them watch some and all that. And instead, you're going to be throwing people into the fire. That's how it goes. And depth this is where college football is different now for everybody. Like Kirby Smart has talked about this, and he's not BSing. It's like, he basically used to be able to pull from the pool of 5 stars whenever somebody got hurt. And you might lose something, but by like October, you might have somebody better out there because of that. And it's just not like that for anybody anymore.
Well, then on the Titans front, Jalen Harrell, who we saw go down in the preseason game, and Jared Kanek will be out for the year as well after they suffered injuries as well. So ACL for Harrell and a pec injury for Kanek over the weekend. So you're talking about, a guy that maybe gets in the rotation, helps you out on the pass rushing front, and then 7th round pick that you just had this past year in the draft. But a couple of losses for the season for the Titans. So, I guess you're looking at that and you're saying, if it had to happen, at least it's not starter to this point, but still a couple of guys now done for the year for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's tough for Harrell is a guy who, showed a little bit, and you thought maybe this year, who knows? I mean, providing depth. I mean, obviously they've added a lot to the edge, but providing some depth, and if young guys don't work out, you never know. It's a tough one for him. What about the guy who got suspended who I didn't know was on the Tennessee Titans? Is he still on the Tennessee Titans? Like,
I saw that. Did you see why? Like the reason too of what he said he was taking that substance for? He basically said that he and his wife are trying to conceive a child, and it's something that's supposed to help. And he was trying to keep it private, but he got suspended for it. So it's just like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So it's a fertility drug?
That's what he said. He said fertility medication that led to what is now a 6-game NFL suspension for Johnson here at the time.
Nazeed Johnson.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew he existed? I did not. I mean, that's just one of those where as soon as I saw him, I'm like, okay, so that guy's just going to get cut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that he was going to make the team. So this is obviously not going to help.
Right.
But if that's what look, on the one hand, there's lists out there if you're an NFL player, what you can put in your body and what you can't. So on the one hand, I guess you could make that argument. On the other hand, if that's what it is, and it's this is what he put on social media. Quote, "My wife and I tried to conceive a child. We found out that I was infertile, and I took fertility medication that's helped me try to conceive a baby." If that's what it is, I do think at some point we got to be if you're the NFL, all right, can we have a little common sense in some of this stuff? I don't know. That just that was a big firestorm over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. He told the Winchester Star it was Clomid, CLOMID. Yeah, performance enhancing. That's not the type of performance enhancement that I think we all think
we need to be worried
right?
about in the NFL. Yeah.
No. Now, is there something else with that that trickles into PED territory?
I'm not smart enough to know that. Yes, I don't know.
It's helps with fertility and makes you really strong. Shave something off your 40 time. That's strange.
Very
strange story. But good to know he is on the Titans and has been on the Titans. And if he does happen to continue to be on the Titans, he'll be eligible mid-October.
That's right. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. And Rexrode's got some thoughts on the Tennessee Vols quarterback battle that we'll get into. Coming up next, we'll take your thoughts throughout the show. Cory Curtis coming up at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hey, Robbie Stanley here. Fantasy football right around the corner. The preseason is well underway. Football's almost back, and Twin Peaks is your spot for your fantasy football draft party. 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, a $50 bonus card for the commish, and an additional $5 bonus card for every drafter. We love it. We've had several drafts there. Highly encourage you to check it out. Call to book your draft party today at the Twin Peaks Madison location. Visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more information. That's twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. And our YouTube chat, which, let me tell you, Joe, we'll get into this a little bit later in the program. After the preseason game the other morning, it was flowing on the YouTube chat and the text line. A lot of thoughts out there.
I was listening in, and it sounded like there may have been a person or two not thrilled with the Tennessee Titans, all that went on in that game.
We will get into that a little bit later in the program. Tennessee did have their scrimmage over the weekend. You got a quarterback competition going on between George McIntyre and Faison Brandon. Basically, Joe, some of what's going on early in fall camp is like everybody heading into camp just assumed it was Faison Brandon's job. And then McIntyre played pretty well at the beginning of camp. And then, I think they both had their moments in the scrimmage on Saturday based on the reporting that's been out there. But it does kind of feel like, Brandon is making some plays out there that are just kind of eye-popping a little bit. But I turn it to you. Like, what do you make of the quarterback battle that's going on right now with Tennessee and where things maybe stand there?
Yeah, so I got some information. Now this was before the scrimmage, but from someone who's in the know about that QB competition, and a couple of things that I thought was interesting. One is that I think that McIntyre definitely, as you'd hope, as you'd expect, has come out swinging and is not conceding and is going to really fight for the job, and also that Brandon early has been swimming a little bit, and again, it's not like he's just there. He was there in the spring, but you're still adding stuff. Now you're trying to get someone ready to actually play in a season, whereas in the spring, here's the system. Let's rep some stuff. You're working on things, but now you got to throw more at them. The defense has got to, when you do best on best, the defense is going to work on different pressures and different looks and disguises and all that stuff. And so early on, it sounds to me like if the season started like last week, that McIntyre would have been the starter, which, again, that may not be that surprising, but I do think, as we've talked about, he's been sort of dismissed, right? He's been sort of – there was the video, too, like last week where it's like there was all these, hey, good job, George. All right, George. And we're like, does that mean like McIntyre's playing well, or are they like, hey, let's put some nice stuff in about George to be nice to him because he's clearly losing the QB job? No, I think there was a little bit of, hey, he's playing well, and so let's get some attaboys in there.
Yeah.
Now, it does sound like Brandon made up ground in the scrimmage.
Yeah.
And this happens too. This happens a lot in quarterback competitions where someone scrimmage hits, and it was looking one way and then it starts going the other. I don't know that it doesn't sound like it's going the other way, but I do think the dismissal of McIntyre was premature, and it's going to be interesting if it's as close as it sounds like it is with the whole, again, another year in the system. There's some stuff that you just feel more comfortable with.
Yep.
With the older guy, younger guy, higher ceiling. Does Heupel do what he prefers to do, which is to like basically get it named before like their last like scrimmage thing and then give that guy all the ones reps? I mean, that's usually what he likes to do. If he doesn't do it, then you know how close it is.
Well, they've got another scrimmage coming up, I think this Saturday coming up, where they'll be out there again. And then after that, like it's, you're not that far away from playing. So he's got to start to get some of it figured out. A couple of interesting things. I heard Austin Price talking about this on the VolQuest podcast, and it's an interesting thought, like from the George McIntyre perspective. Like, think about his offseason in the spring. Like, coming out of the spring, everybody was like, yeah, it's going to be Faison Brandon, who's the starting quarterback. Like, think about if you're McIntyre, what this offseason looked like for you. I mean, you sit through last year, you barely get to play, and then you're like, okay, well, it's probably going to be my job next year. And then it's like, oh, wait, Tennessee's going after, like, Brendan Sorsby and all these different guys in the portal, which, by the way, thank God that didn't happen. Sam Levitt, like there's okay, but you get through that and it's like, oh, well, they didn't get one, and so it's my job. And then there's Joey Aguilar might come back and might be the starting quarterback, and he's got a hearing coming up in Knoxville court. Yeah, he's probably gonna be the quarterback, and then he doesn't. So like just kind of like the mental gymnastics that took place in the spring. So I mean, you get through all that, and then if you're McIntyre, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, when the fall comes around, it's me and Brandon. Like that's what it is. So you got to find a way to come through that. So, like, frankly, I think it's good to see, if you're a Tennessee fan, him come out and look as good as he's looked early in camp, like on the McIntyre front. The other part of this that I think is really interesting, everybody talks about if it's close between Brandon and McIntyre, and I think it's going to be. Like, do you just go upside instead of what McIntyre could bring to the table? And you could. I view it like strategically on the field. Like, it's two completely different skill sets. Like, a big part of Brandon's game, if he's in there, is going to be running. Like, he's a really good athlete, and he's going to be on the move, and that is not going to be a part of McIntyre's game. So I wonder how much of a first off, I think that leads to like in scrimmage settings and like in actual game settings, you can probably put some things on display if you're Brandon that you can't necessarily do in practice.
Mhm.
And number two, I wonder what that means. Like if you're hypo looking at it and you're like, man, it's really close, but the quarterback run game with Brandon would just be such a bigger threat out there. I don't know. Like it's that part of it, I think, is probably being under discussed a little bit when it comes to the QB battle.
Yeah. No, that's definitely, it's great to have that in the toolkit. Obviously with with Nico and with Hendon Hooker, certainly that made a big difference at times with both of those guys. I think with that and the Vandy QB competition, to me, I understand the idea, and the Vandy is different. People are freaked out because it's like you're going to lose them if you don't immediately start them. And again, it's like, well, then you were already in a tenuous position. But I think with both teams, you have to make a choice on winning football games, because it's important. Obviously, different situations. Vandy's coming off one of his best seasons of all time, but you don't want to fall off. And if Blaze Berlowitz just gives you a better chance to win, and that's a totally different skill set too, and probably more of the offense open, then I think you go with it. And with Tennessee, the run threat definitely could be a tiebreaker, but if McIntyre has a little bit of an edge, a little bit more of the offense, whatever, the ball's out quicker, you can run tempo better. I mean, there's a lot of different things about it, that could tilt it his way. I mean, I think that you have to give yourself the best chance to win. If you went through the whole year and McIntyre was a starter and did well, then yeah, you might lose Brandon, and no one wants to lose Brandon, of course. So it still seems like at some point, Faison Brandon would, possibly get the job, win the job.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes that happens. I mean, it worked out for them. Okay. Like when Milton beat out Hooker, but then Hooker, because of injury, comes back in and ends up being the better guy.
Well, I just wonder too, if you're Heupel, there's the day-to-day of practice, and then there's the scrimmages. I would assume there's a little bit more value placed on the scrimmage. I don't know. I'd love to know how Heupel views that, particularly if it's, in the day-to-day of practice, if it's close, right? I would assume if it's close in the day-to-day battles of practice, that the scrimmages are going to be what tells you who ends up winning the job, right? At least to start. And, that's the beauty of playing Furman first. They're both going to play. If they don't, something's gone extremely wrong in the first game against Furman. So, I mean, they may be playing all three quarterbacks against Furman. So there's that. But by the time the Georgia Tech game comes around, I don't think you can just rely on playing two quarterbacks in that game. So you're going to have to come up with some sort of solution. So maybe, you're right. He does like to name one and then kind of give them all the first team reps and be ready to go by the time that first game comes around. Does it change this year with that approach? And if it does, what does that tell you? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know what that means if you're a Tennessee fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he must. I mean, I think he does it, because, like most coaches, it's like at some point you just have to, the reps have to be you have to use those reps. I mean, they're very important to get those in. It's like the Vikings. It's like, okay, enough screwing around with whatever the heck, this competition. Kyler Murray, you're number one, you get all the ones reps. And yeah, the whole splitting of ones reps is just one of it's like you have the game stuff, which can be, if you have two different skill sets, that can be kind of effective for you, I guess. I've seen it work a little here and there, but yeah, just the practice aspect of it with young quarterbacks. If you're only getting half of the reps, I mean, doesn't that mean they're kind of both not nearly as good as you need them to be on game day? I mean, probably.
Well, and from what you read about what's going on there, they've both at times look pretty good. I talk about Brandon in the running game. It's not like he can't throw, right? There are moments where he's made some big time throws. They've tweeted out some of them where he's made a big time throw to Mike Matthews down the sideline. There's a great throw from McIntyre on a fade route, 30 yards on the button to TK Keys. They've made some great throws out there, good plays. I tell you the thing about Heupel, Heupel had his press conference after the scrimmage this weekend, and every now and then he'll say something where you can tell he's feeling really good about something. And he started talking about the offensive line, and he was you could tell that he is pretty fired up about how they're looking out there, which, again, that goes back to the old training camp question of like, all right, how much of that is the offensive line and how much of that is the front that they're going up against? But like David Sanders in particular apparently has just been an absolute beast in camp so far, which is not surprising.
Yeah, and that it is. And normally you'd be like, man, if they're – because normally Rodney Gardner has one of the best groups on the team, but he just doesn't this year, I don't think, But I think there's still some talent there. You mentioned TK Keys. Will a freshman actually play at receiver for the Vols this year? I have my doubts, but he's been one of the names of camp.
Yes. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Your thoughts on the quarterback competition at Tennessee. Should it be Faison Brandon? Should it be George McIntyre? What does that decision entail for Josh Heupel? More on that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Tennessee in a quarterback battle right now. Vanderbilt in a quarterback battle in fall camp. Think of your thoughts on all of it at 615-737-1025. If you force me to guess, Joe, I think I'm still going Brandon is going to be the one that ends up winning it. I think it's close, though. I think Brandon will end up winning the job, and then we'll see if he can keep it early in the season. I mean, that's the interesting part about, I guess, both of these battles. Like, I think there's a chance that Berlowitz could win the starting QB job for Vanderbilt, and then the question becomes, okay, well, how long does he keep it? And, like, if you're Tennessee, like, if whoever you pick, whether it's McIntyre or Brandon, like, if they struggle early, how much of a rope do they get with Heupel before he says, all right, well, let's try the other guy for a little bit? And what does that mean? Like, I think that's to varying degrees kind of interesting because I do like Clark Lee, like if Berlowitz starts, then he goes to Curtis. I think it's like a little bit harder to go back the other way. Whereas with Heupel, like they may switch a couple of times this year. I have no idea.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of have a feeling we'll see both Brandon and McIntyre play in important situations this year. I would not be surprised by that. I wouldn't be shocked if Brandon just wins a job and that's it. But yeah, they're young, and the good thing is, like you said last segment, you've got this offensive line. I mean, you've got a great running back room. You're strong at receiver. Here's another young guy at receiver that probably just going to sit and watch. But I mean, who knows? A guy who can play. You got I think a pro at tight end. So whoever is out there, you can't really support them too much better than they are supporting them, at least from what we think.
Yeah,
it'll be. But yeah, they both young QBs. They both certainly could make mistakes. I mean, Nico they really were able to baby him in that redshirt freshman year, right? And it ran the heck out of the ball, had a great defense. Of course, you had to lean on him at times to make some plays, like in the second half of the Alabama game, for example. But you were able to win some of those games even when he didn't play that well. This year, the problem is, yes, you were supporting a quarterback with all your offensive stuff, but like there's probably going to be way more pressure just on the offense because of the defense, right?
Yeah.
But I agree. It's like Vandy, it's sort of like matter of time, probably, is the feeling you get. Whereas Tennessee could be, it could be a little bit back and forth.
I mean, the question that I think is difficult to answer right now that hopefully we'll find out at least by the Georgia Tech game is, all right, regardless of who wins the job, whether it's McIntyre or Brandon, what level of QB player are we talking about? Because, I mean, the answer to that question, I think totally defines what this team is going to be, right? I mean, there's little doubt in my mind that they're going to be able to run the ball pretty effectively. Like they just, number one, they always do. But number two, like I think this team in particular with the offensive line that it looks like they've got, and frankly, like Bishop's a good player. Like he's a good player, and he's gotten, I don't know if you've seen him, he's gotten enormous in the offseason. So like I'm interested to see what that looks like, but they feel pretty good about their running back room. They're going to be able to run the ball. Mike Matthews, good player, proven. Braylon Staley's good player, proven. I don't know who the third receiver is going to be, but whoever it is, you would think should have some pretty good opportunities with those two kind of on the other side of them out there. So there's a lot to like offensively on that side of the ball. If the quarterback play, regardless of who it is, ends up being pretty good, well, that changes what this team can be. If it's just so-so, then there's a limitation as to what all that means when your quarterback, I mean, he's the most important player on the team. But if it's good, it doesn't have to be great, but if it's good quarterback play, I mean, you could be talking about pretty darn good Tennessee team this year.
Yeah, no doubt. So the Nico year, is that good enough? I mean, I know some Vols fans look back, he stunk. I'm so glad he left. But,
to answer the question, it's probably not.
It's probably not.
Because I have my doubts. I mean, the defense, I think, should be better than it was a year ago. I have my doubts it's going to be as good as that defense was.
Yeah, no. And Nico, had his moments, certainly. Had some good games. He made some big-time plays with his legs. He made some big-time throws. He would throw them. I think they looked like they got kind of afraid of going over the middle at some point that year with him, right? With some of the mistakes and some of the reads, which I kind of were like that same way with Joe Milton. But that's the thing. We haven't really, with Heupel, you obviously had an old guy last year. Hendon Hooker was older, had played a lot of football. We haven't seen, other than that Nico year, we haven't seen, like a young quarterback in this offense since Heupel's been at Tennessee, at least. So that if you go back and look at that year, it wasn't a bad year, but you probably need better than that. And I'm with you. I have no idea. The competition's one thing, but it's possible to still drag the whole thing down if you're not seeing things fast, if you're, if you just look like a young quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's all focused in on the competition, and then when the season comes around, if whoever wins the competition, you're looking at like, okay, well, this is like the 13th best quarterback in the SEC. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean at the end of it? It doesn't mean long term. In 2 years, I mean, I don't know, 2 years, Faison Brandon may be best quarterback in the country. I have no idea what that's going to look like. But for this year's team, what level of quarterback play are they going to get? And like, what level of quarterback play do you need to get if you're Heupel this year to have a team that can compete for a college football playoff spot? I mean, that's also an interesting question because again, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball a lot. They should run the ball a lot. They should lean into that. And I heard Josh Pate talking about it. Like you could see potentially like a different style from Tennessee this year where they've been go, go, go. And there's always going to be some of that in this offense. But, it was clear, you brought up the Nico year. They went a lot slower that year. And they realized that they had a really good defense and they played that way. And they became, I think, less aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. They were more willing to punt maybe in situations than they weren't before. And could it be the case this year where if you're Tennessee, maybe you're trying to not necessarily slow down, but like manage the clock a little bit more than we've seen them do in years past? I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see what that looks like from a coaching staff and how you approach it this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have the weapon of being able to go fast in your back pocket. And I would guess that they get better at that as the season goes on. You'd like to be able to do it, but yeah, I'm sure because of the youth and because, like that, they do, they can run the ball. They probably will look slower than they have in some years. I mean, Nico's season, 2,600, 19 TDs, 5 picks, ran for 358, 3 touchdowns. Like by the numbers, it's probably better than some people remember. 64%. I mean, the numbers sound better than I remember that season being.
It sounds better. Now, I would love to go back and be like, all right, well, how much of that came in him lighting up Kent State?
Yeah, he definitely fattened up on some bad teams.
I would say that there needs, I remember the Nico year, the second half against Alabama, he made some big plays in that game, right? Like there were some moments where he made some big plays. Probably weren't enough of them. Probably, I mean, I actually thought, given the fact that everybody else got totally destroyed in that game, he played okay against Ohio State. But there weren't enough big moments. Like there are going to be a few games this year, I can go ahead and tell you, that with the schedule that they've got, the end result as to whether or not Tennessee wins the game is basically going to come down to, can whoever your quarterback is make about 2 or 3 plays in the game that totally change it. If they can, then maybe you end up 9-3, 10-2. If they can't, you're probably going to end up like 7-5, 8-4. Like that's going to be the story of the year.
Yeah.
And there's, it's more complicated than that. There's a lot of things go into that. Who stays healthy? How good's the defense? All these things.
Wacky plays.
At the bottom line is that, your quarterback just has more of an impact on the game than anybody else. And it's going to come down to that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm looking, by the way, Nico, 14 for 31 for 104 in that Ohio State game.
I think it was more like he ran it like 20 times because he was just
Kentucky. But then you also had like the 156-yard night in the loss to Arkansas, 169 against Florida, 158 against Georgia. I mean, that's kind of what that team was, with some big, 314 against Chattanooga. So, I mean, it was, if you had roughly the same, I mean, you will be in games if you're running the ball like we think they'll run the ball. Jim Knowles you got to earn your pay, right? Jim Knowles got to earn his pay and figure out some things. He's got some talent over there. I'm a little concerned about that defensive front. I mean, it's just so different than what we're used to seeing with Tennessee.
Yeah, and you're also, I think they have some players on the defensive line that I think they feel really good about long term, but you're about an injury away from some of those guys having to play immediately. And you just know, like at some point, probably pretty quickly into the year, somebody on the defensive line is getting hurt, right? Like it's an inevitability. Somebody's getting hurt out there. So then you're going to have to play some of these young guys, and what does that look like? They do seem to be pretty excited about their corner group right now. Like the corners seem to be playing well. So we'll see what that means.
By the time safety group is suffering.
Getting a little thinner. Yep. Yeah. 615-737-1025. Busy weekend in the National Football League. We'll get in some highlights from NFL preseason week number 1, including some plays of local interest around here. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, a busy weekend around the National Football League, preseason week number 1. We'll get into some of your thoughts from the Titans here in just a few minutes. Jackson Dart, did you see this hit he took? He got
that's a
absolutely
shot.
destroyed. Now, to his credit, at least this one wasn't him like running around out there.
He had no chance.
Just somebody missed a block and missed an assignment. He was in the pocket, and he got absolutely destroyed on the play. Ended up going over to the sideline in the blue tent, which has become a pretty familiar scene with him so far in his career. Getting checked out for a concussion. I guess he's all right, but that was a heck of a hit that Jackson Dart took in a preseason game.
Who was the back, by the way?
I don't know.
Please tell me that wasn't Scadaboo.
No, I think it was Tyrone Tracy.
Okay.
From what I heard.
I mean, you were worse than a traffic cone. Like, a traffic cone does better than that. I don't even know how.
Nick Singleton got absolutely mauled over in the preseason game for the Titans trying to pass back, but at least he got in the way, right? Like he was at least physically making contact with somebody. I mean, Dart got hit really, really hard in that game. So glad to see. I guess he's all right, but good grief. Back at the injury tent again.
That's it. You see a play like that, and you're just like, oh, God, preseason football. What are you going to do, right? Like, do you play these guys? Do you not play these guys? Jeremiah Love.
He had 14 touches in a preseason game.
Now he's hurt.
Yeah.
Got a high ankle sprain.
Nice numbers.
Yeah, probably a low high ankle sprain, right? Maybe the lowest high ankle sprain in the history of high ankle sprains.
Apparently, yeah. It was so low for the high ankle sprain that Mike LaFleur would not divulge that it was a high ankle sprain, but now it's been reported that it's a high ankle sprain. So got that going on.
Yeah. 11 for 58.
Mike, how low is the high ankle sprain, please? What part of the body?
So he's taking a bunch of crap. You give a bunch of crap to his brother. Now he's taking a bunch of crap for playing him, which it is a lot. It's a lot.
I got so nervous though, because like one of the headlines I saw was like, LaFleur discusses Love's injury. I was like, oh my God, when did Jordan Love get hurt? Different LaFleur, different Love. Okay.
That really is going to be a problem.
I watched the whole preseason game. Love played for 5 minutes. How'd he get hurt?
It's quite the parallel there, huh?
Right? A LaFleur, a coach, a coaching LaFleur, whose most important player is named Love. Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah, it is. So who knows what could be LaFleur, Love should get MVP. And we don't know which one they're talking about.
I've got to really do so, like, make sure I'm paying attention this year. Really make sure.
So, yeah, that's a tough one. That is a lot. Like, I'd play him too, but it's also a running back. I don't know. That's a weird one. It's like, he's a running back. Like, do you know the plays? Right? Like, he hadn't played, but he's a running back. So, and he's not a quarterback. He's not a receiver. Like, just about any other position, you'd be like, yeah, you need to rep it. Running back would probably be like last on the list of like,
hey, we're going to hand you the ball.
Yeah. It's
how many first teamers get 14 touches in a preseason game? Preseason
not very
game.
Often, man.
That's old school. Back in the day, that might have happened.
This is kind of why you don't do it.
Yeah, that's a little much. It's like if you give him 5-6 carries, I think that's okay. Hey, Jeff Simmons was out there.
He was
briefly, but he was out there, and that alone, you could argue, like, why even mess with it? But it also goes back to the whole thing of, wow, these are games. They're fully padded, they're fully tackling, all that stuff. But most of the worst injuries, someone we talked about Farouk with Tennessee or the non-contact anyway, like in practice, right? So I don't know. It's a tough one. So another LaFleur under fire.
Mariota with a sprained MCL in the preseason against Miami. He's going to miss the rest of the preseason, but they feel like he will be ready to go come week 1. So if Marcus gets called upon in week 1, it looks like he'll be there to answer the call, but no more preseason football for Marcus.
If Will Levis would have played better when he had his opportunity, the Commanders could be one of those teams. There's going to be more too. Someone else is going to get hurt before this endless preseason ends. And that's where teams should be like, okay, what about that guy? But if he's going to play like he's playing, that's not going to happen.
They're playing the CFL.
Man.
By the way, speaking of former Titans that got hurt, Jamal Adams, I believe, had to be carted off the field.
He's out for the year.
Practice. He's out for the year. So
I hate to be disrespectful, and I feel bad for him that he got injured. I saw that was like the top headline, NFL headline, I think like 2 days ago. And I'm like, do you guys realize that he hasn't been a relevant NFL player since maybe 2023?
Long time ago. Yeah.
Like, I understand he was a high pick, great college player, and he was a very good NFL player for a few years. Like, he is completely irrelevant as an NFL player, and we're acting like this is some like the huge injury news.
Yeah.
Again, I feel bad saying
all
it
due
because
respect.
yeah, all due respect. No one should care about your injury. I'm sorry, other than feeling bad for you as a person. There's no football impact of that injury. Like I don't
zero.
I just don't understand. Like he was here and it was like, yeah, like I don't know, maybe try him at defensive line. I don't know.
Speaking of defensive line,
I can't run.
Von Miller has signed with the Dallas Cowboys.
How about that?
What do you make of that?
Well,
it's his 15th year coming up.
Yeah, you know what? I don't hate it for either of them. I don't hate it for the Cowboys. I mean, look, they're trying to be okay on defense, and obviously they've had a lot of coming and going on defense. But I don't hate it. And it seems like there's still a little bit left in the tank there. And although that's not a classic ring chasing move from him, yeah, it's the Cowboys. And also, the Cowboys might it's not like that's one of those teams that could be sneaky, like win 11 games this year.
They could. I mean, their offense should be really good.
Yeah.
And then if you can have a pulse on the defensive side of the ball, you should give yourself a shot there. It is also the Cowboys, so I'm just waiting for something inevitably to go wrong there.
Yes.
See what that looks like.
For sure.
The quarterback competition in Cleveland. So Deshaun Watson gets out there this weekend and throws the ball around for a little bit. I thought Todd Monken after the game was going to break down in tears talking about Watson and all the hard work he's put in. But he was 11-15 for $126. Did not go well for Shedeur. He threw an interception, and
it was bad.
It was horrific. And they asked him about it after. He's like, I mean, I saw everything right. The ball just kind of slipped. Like, well, that would probably be what I would
do that
because the ball went about 8 yards over the receiver's head. But not good from Shedeur over the weekend.
I was with some in-law Browns fans over the weekend, and they very, very, very much do not want to see Deshaun Watson take a single snap.
Yes.
And like even with that pick, it's like I don't care. Play him. So that's the fan feeling. But then I'm like, well, Deshaun Watson went like 10 for 11, man. I'm just saying. I
think he's going to start.
The thing is, in all seriousness, in that situation, obviously, like you're a new coach, you like it's like I got to win. But I also still think for him to actually win that job, he has to be way better, right? Like he has to be considerably better than Shedeur Sanders. And I'm not saying that's some big feat, but it's hard to justify it. But maybe Deshaun Watson's gonna be kind of good. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but we have seen the guy play really well in this league before.
Been a long time.
It's been a long time. A lot of stuff's gone on between now and then. But I mean, what is he, like 31 or something?
He's probably, I don't even know that he's that old. But yeah, he's probably around there. Let's see.
He's been through series.
He's 30.
Almost 31.
He'll be 31 in a couple weeks.
So what a story that would be.
Ty Simpson, 21 of 25, $190, couple touchdowns for LA. So Ty Simpson turning some heads out there. We had somebody on the text line in the first segment being like, yeah, just trade Cam Ward, get Ty Simpson in here. Let's go.
Oh, I thought we were trading Cam Ward for Curtis Rourke. No? Trading for Ty Simpson? I don't think the Rams are going to get rid of Ty Simpson.
Probably not.
That's a nice futures. That was great to see. Really, it was great to see him play like that. I watched some of that, and he looked good. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of play action boots and nice easy access throws to the tight end, to the back or whatever. But hey, he made the plays. Good for him.
In unrelated news, I don't know that this new stadium rollout could be going any worse for the Bills. I mean, we kind of joked about this with Charles the other day, like all the seats that are just not good and people. But so they played the game there this weekend. And now the talk is, yeah, the the field's terrible. Like the field is just awful out there.
Well, I mean, let's get the exact quote here.
That's interesting because they were talking about. I saw one quote from a lineman talking about how he wanted to sleep out there on the field. It felt so good.
Well, apparently somebody else feels different.
Well, people want grass, but not if like the lead of Tim Graham's column on this is these aren't the type of chunk plays the Buffalo Bills are looking for. Like a huge chunk of the turf comes up. And a player who did not want to be identified said, quote, "The field is ass right now," end quote. So that's kind of like those. If you saw a van in the 70s, it was like,
That's good.
if you want to ride gas, grass, or ass, that's
Live it.
we love we ass. Okay. So, actually, I want to read the whole quote. Quote, "The field is ass right now, but it's early."
That's good. At least there's a caveat in
It's
there.
the preseason for grass, too.
That's the
okay?
problem, though, with Buffalo. It gets cold quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, they have the
snowing
heating
in the first
coils.
week of October.
I read the heating coils, right, which is good, but that feels like it's going to cause a whole nother situation of mud.
Yeah. That field in like late November. Oh, boy.
So nobody can see the state or neither see the field from the stadium. And when you're on the field, the grass sucks. It's off to a good start up there at the new stadium.
Oh, well, show me a folding table and I'll have a great time anyway.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Rexrode with some thoughts on Cam Ward's performance in preseason game number 1, plus a question I find very interesting that we'll get into coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Rexrode's very happy over there. So, good.
How about that Charles McCabe coming through with the code? So I'm back in the text line. Let's go.
There we go.
I was like, is it okay? Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, how late do you call someone at night? You know, probably shouldn't call after 10. How early can you text someone? I think 7.
7's good.
I mean, really, Chase should be up listening to every minute to make sure that we're doing well and not committing FCC violations and all that stuff, you know. But he is up at 7 to give me the code. So thank you, Chase.
Very nicely done.
Now I'm in the text line, so we can really start bitching about the Titans.
Keith says, waiting for you guys to get the caller that says trade Levis for Ty Simpson. That may happen at some point. We'll see.
Sure.
See what that looks like.
I think, would you not want to do that, Keith? Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah, I'd probably take that right now if you're the Titans. Speaking of, what did you make of, since you were not on the show with us on Friday, your thoughts on Cam Ward, his performance on last Thursday against the San Francisco 49ers?
Not great. Not great. Nice first drive, but obviously he didn't do much. You know, the screen was good. You know, but he didn't do a lot. And then when more was asked of him, just I agree with what Robert Saleh said. It seemed like he was needlessly speeded, needlessly sped up, and not trusting his offensive line. You know, and that's the really interesting thing about the whole night is that I came away from it feeling better about the offensive line. And then he was not good. You know, just missing throws you can't miss. We talk about it all the time. Like, you just got to have those gimmies. And there were some gimmies. And he's throwing lasers when you don't need to throw lasers, and should have been a pick on the one to take. You know, it wasn't good. The grounding, not good. End of the world? No. Not end of the world, but also a little bit discouraging.
Well, there was a play that we didn't talk about a lot on Friday that I went back and watched and saw some clips of over the weekend that is probably the most concerning play now to me out of them all. I mean, the misses obviously you can't have, but it was the first drive. You know, it was like the first or second play of the game where they've moved out of the back of the end zone. So I guess, like, you know, one of the first handful of plays of the game, and he ended up breaking the pocket and running and picking up a couple yards and got tackled there. Well, before that, like, you go back and you watch it, and he drops back, and Gunnar Helm's breaking out to the left. He's wide open. There's no one around it. Ward never looks at him, and Ward starts climbing the pocket for no reason. There's no one around him, and he holds the ball out like this, like right in front of him. And he's just holding the ball out, looking down the field, but not looking at Ward, breaking out over to the left, and then he just runs for no reason. There's no one making any pressure on him. Like, I was like, what is he doing? So I didn't see that in live time. And then you go back and see, like, people breaking it down over the weekend. And one of the guys I saw breaking it down was just like, I have no idea what he's doing here, but I've never seen a quarterback hold the ball out in front of him. I mean, it looked like he was getting ready to punt it. And then he just put it back in and it just totally ran off and, you know, picked up a couple yards on the play. But I was like, geez, what was that?
Well, there's a play to be made. Not seeing things. I mean, that's just like, yeah, like I don't want to say panic, but just not comfortable, right? So you could again always look at that and say, well, you know, that's on the offensive line if you want to, but I thought that they did okay. I mean, obviously as the game went on, poor Will Levis, who no one will want to trade for, he was bad, but also there were times it was like, geez, that guy is like there's just no chance.
You could see it on his face a couple times when he got up. He's just like, I mean, what are we doing out here, guys? Good grief.
Yeah. But with Cam, it's like, and look, this is something that happens to quarterbacks. I'm not saying that's what it is, and it's like some permanent thing, but like happy feet, seeing ghosts, all that stuff, that was part of the Mariota thing too. Absolutely. To me, later in his time here there were times when like he actually had a pocket and he didn't seem to trust that he had a pocket. And so that from that perspective, you don't like that. Anything that's related to system, and it's a new system. It's the first preseason game with the new system. Anything related to that, timing, okay, those are things you can work on. But I think a good chunk of this is just like, I don't know, man. Like you just have to be better than that. Like that,
Yeah.
and this is where we get into, like you've said, you brought it up a lot. This year, if it's going to be bad up front, is it going to be just an excuse fest? Well, if it is, then there's some things that are going to be out of his control. But in that game right there, you had easy opportunities to make plays that you didn't make. So I'll go back to, I think Saleh is right in that he didn't trust some things and he just was going too fast. And sometimes that leads to inaccuracy. But sometimes with him, everything looks right. It all is exactly how it's supposed to look, and the ball just doesn't go where it needs to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing that they've got to get fixed here. So, we'll see what that looks like for week 2 coming up, which the game is Sunday. So there's a long time to wait here for that.
Good more good practices for him in the meantime.
Good practice.
He had a good day of practice the next day.
Joint practice coming up, I believe, on Friday this week. So long time to wait between now and that next preseason game.
A week from today, we'll be reacting to both of the joint practice
Correct.
and the preseason game.
Correct.
So, Titans are not helping us out here. Not helping us out.
Looking forward to that coming up. So the question you've thrown out there on the grid, which I think is a really interesting one. If you're a Titans fan, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. Would you rather have for preseason game number 1, a bad Cam Ward performance like we had, but J.C. Latham was really good. Offensive line play was pretty good from the starting group there, and that was probably your biggest question mark on your team heading into the year. Would you rather have that in the first preseason game, or would you rather see Ward looking pretty good in the first preseason game, but coming away thinking, oh, God, well, he's going to be running away for his life all year because the offensive line is just terrible? Joe, where do you come down on that?
Yeah, like would you trade this right now? Like worried about? I mean, he's the most important player. He's the franchise #1 pick quarterback. Didn't play well in the first game. I thought with Carmona, you saw. I mean, I think that's actually
it's encouraging,
and certainly, like you could look at it and say, well, how are these guys who were supposed to be ahead of him losing to a rookie? But whatever, I think he's got something. I think they may have something there. I liked Latham, man. I will say, like, Latham to me is the #2 most important player on this team. He looked to me like he's in good shape. He looked to me like his feet were moving well. He absolutely obliterated a couple guys at times. It wasn't perfect, but I thought I was very encouraged with that stint. So, yeah, it's a hard one because, of course, Cam is the most important player, but if he played well in that game, first of all, it'd still be, and none of this necessarily means it's translating, but he could have played well in that game. We've seen him play well. We've seen him make great throws. If it was just like, they're just going to have a problem at right tackle. We know left tackles, whatever. And it's just going to be another one. I think this is better. I think reality is better than that hypothetical, but some may disagree.
We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. A lot of your thoughts to get to on Cam Ward and the Titans offense coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Keep up with training camp with 102.5 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as you get prepped for the upcoming football season. Coverage of training camp presented by Tennessee Brew Works, Parman Energy, and the Music City Kickoff Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Rexrode throwing the question out there, which I think is a good one. Would you rather have the performance that we saw on Thursday, which was not very good from Cam Ward, but the offensive line played pretty well, looked good out there at times, or have it flipped where Ward looks pretty good and the offensive line shaky in that first preseason game? A lot of thoughts on this already on the text line. One texter says, definitely the offensive line looked good. We've seen Cam start super slow in the preseason last year, come back, show some confidence, great flashes. Offensive line started slow, ended the season competent. It's good to see them get off to the right foot. Chad says, I trust Cam to grow into being comfortable in the system behind a good offensive line way more than I trust a struggling offensive line to figure it out throughout the season. I mean, my natural inclination in this question is always lean quarterback because of how important it is. So, like, personally, I'd rather see the quarterback look good because, I mean, if he's not going to end up being a good player, then you're kind of screwed at that point. But, you know, to your point, if the offensive line ends up being better than we think it's going to be, well, that's another weapon that you've got to help your quarterback. I would assume the running game be pretty good if that's the case, which I was pretty encouraged by what we saw from that on Thursday in the preseason. I still look at their skill position, and I know Tate didn't do anything in the preseason game, but I think he's going to end up being a good player this year. I think they're in a much better position with their skill positions than they were a year ago. So all those things around the quarterback, like if you can promise me that they're going to be good to decent to good, well, then I'm feeling better about the quarterback there. But I still like the thing that worries me to death about Cam from last year, and certainly what we saw on Thursday, was there's way too many times where there's somebody right in front of him that he just can't hit. And if that's going to be what it is, he's got no chance in this league. So I'm not willing to say that that's what it is yet, but that's certainly my concern right now on Ward.
Yeah, I think even if, like, you know, the processing gets better and he really feels comfortable in the system and you see more of the great throws that he can make.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be some like level of, man, how do you miss that throw? There is with Josh Allen. I'm not comparing them at all. Just saying, like, you will have Josh Allen misfire still that's like brings you back to the old days of like, how the hell is that dude even drafted as anything other than a linebacker?
Right.
So I think there's always going to be some of that. But yeah, when you have a few of those and just, you know, a few of those to go with, I mean, you and I just watched the play that you were just talking about where he looks like a Notre Dame fullback in 1930. Here's the ball, boys. Here I come. Wake up the Echoes. And then you got a wide open tight end. And then you got the pick he should have thrown.
Yeah.
And you got the grounding that was terrible. Like, that's a freshman in college play. Like, all that together is just not great. But yeah, I tend to agree with the people who are like, you know, like he can have a couple bad series and you still like, you know, it could get better.
Sure.
Like last year, it did get better. Last year, it got better through the season. First half and second half were different. Wasn't great in the second half, but it was a lot better in the first half for him. Whereas, like, if you came right out in this game and it was just like Latham's a turnstile, like, you know it, like that's what it's going to be this year. I just feel like there's possibility certainly for Cam to figure it out, be better than if Latham stunk in particular in this game.
Yeah.
There'd be no hope.
I would feel probably a little bit different about my answer if the Titans had played anybody worth a crap in the first game on the defensive line. Like, they were going up against like third stringers from San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, like, frankly, their offensive line should have looked the way that they looked. It would have been a big problem if they did. Now, I'm glad they did,
right? So
because I've seen some situations over the last few years where the Titans probably should have handled the defensive front in front of them and they didn't do it. So I'm glad to see them do it on Thursday, but I just don't know how much stock I put into it, given the fact that it was just a bunch of backups and third stringers that they were going up against with San Francisco.
Yeah, right. So you can't. So yeah, you have to be muted in your excitement for sure. But yeah, you flip it around. It's like, well, if you're stunk against
It'd
them,
be
boy,
bad news.
like there'd just be there'd be nowhere to go, and we'd be talking about, hey, who can they get on the waiver wire? Anybody trading a tackle for Will Levis?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Caleb brings up a point that I think a lot of people would say is like when you're evaluating the quarterback, it's what we talked about in the offseason of eliminating excuses, right? Like if the offensive line is good or at least decent, like it can hold its own, well, it gives you more of a complete evaluation of what you've got at quarterback. I mean, look, let's be honest. If the offensive line ends up being okay this year, like serviceable offensive line, well, at that point, you'll have a serviceable offensive line. You'll have an offensive coordinator that right now I think we feel pretty good about. I mean, I guess I'll see how we feel 8 to 10 games in, but right now you feel pretty good about that. You got a number 4 overall pick at wide receiver. You got a guy that you brought in via free agency that's caught 90-plus balls each of the last 2 years. Ridley's healthy at the moment. He's been a productive player in this league. You've got, Io Manor and DK who, to differing levels, you're somewhat excited about. So, like, if the offensive line ends up being competent this year, well, then I think a lot of those excuses are going to naturally be eliminated for Cam Ward. It doesn't mean that you've got to make some, unilateral decision on him at the end of this year, but it does, I think, certainly help the evaluation process of everybody involved of, some of these limitations that were obvious last year when you were talking about Ward and the Titans, and there was just so much that he didn't have a chance with. Well, that's going to be improved this year if the offensive line can take that step.
Yeah, you'd like to make it as clean an evaluation as possible. That's still as important as anything going on, is just trying to figure out if he's a guy. Although Texter says we need a good O-line for Arch Manning next year. There is that too.
Well, you'd like to see him.
Arch would like to feel
step
good.
in.
You don't want the Mannings to try to,
boycott,
pull something like they did with Eli, because J.C. Latham can't block.
We're going to Cleveland. We're not going to Titans.
Craig says, I don't think Ward's a long-term answer at quarterback anyway, so I'd rather see an offensive line group that's gelling together and can maybe be built for the future. Okay, well, you're a Ward, you're doing it, and that's fine. I'm not there. This season, long season, there will be ups and downs. If Cam takes that stretch of football and those second and third possession the other night, and that's what he is for the long term, well, then maybe we will be talking about somebody different in 27, but I'd be surprised if it's that bad.
Well, I'd be surprised if it's that bad. And again, like, I would describe myself as somebody that, we've talked about this, was pretty skeptical of Ward in the draft process, would not have been what I would have done at the number 1 overall pick. Certainly would have traded out when presented with the option that the Titans were presented with New York. But again, they've made that decision. It is what it is. And I'm discouraged by what I saw Thursday. At the end of the day, it is a preseason game, so I think we need to keep some of that in mind. And there's still a long way to go here in my mind before I've arrived at any sort of definitive conclusion on Cam Ward. And I think, and I know that we saw some of that on Friday with some of the reaction of, this guy sucks. He's a bust. He can't hit somebody 6 feet in front of him. Look, it was discouraging on Thursday. I've seen plenty of quarterbacks that have turned out to be pretty good players have horrible games. So we'll see what this looks like moving forward. We're still a ways away from some sort of definitive decision. And the other part of this is like some of this is going to be on Dable and the coaching staff of, all right, how do you formulate a game plan to make your quarterback more successful throughout the season? Like there's very little game planning going on in this game. And I know that doesn't help with the, hey, when somebody's open, you need to hit them issue. Right. But when things are tailor-made to your quarterback a little bit more throughout the course of a game, he's not going to miss, I don't think, as much as he missed the other day. If he does, well, then this answer is going to become pretty simple at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first drive, I guess you could look at it and say, I thought it was a nice, a well-called drive and a little bit of a scripted thing. But, yeah, for the most part, preseason games are not anything like real games in that way as much as anything. Game planning for a particular opponent. You're trying to see things. You're trying to see people. So there's a lot to it that gets an asterisk. Got a texture that says, I'm saying it now, Trubisky's better than Ward. Not that he's the greatest thing ever, but he's better than Ward. I mean, right now, if you had to win a football game, yeah, I mean, you might be right. Trubisky might be your better option, but
I hope not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like if you need to win a game and the maybe slightly more like reliable game manager just gives you that chance, fine. But that doesn't matter. the ceiling is definitely higher with Ward. Will he come close to it? I have no idea, but that's why you're going with him right now, and you should. And Mitch Trubisky is QB2. And if it ever gets to the point where they're starting him, like I guess like the team winning, but Cam's terrible. I mean, but if you ever get to that point, then that's pretty much your answer on Cam Ward. And the people in charge of this franchise have put everything on him working out.
615-737-1025. More of your thoughts to get to on Cam Ward. Plus, something else I'd love to get Joe's thoughts on that I'm now starting to become very worried about with the Tennessee Titans. We'll do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, 1025 The Game, for live shows and exclusive content. You can join our YouTube chat as well, which is flowing. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. We'll have Cory Curtis coming up at 8 o'clock on the program today. Rob says, if you're saying if you need to win a game, maybe you go to your backup, that's devastating because somebody say that's the only reason you play the game. There you go.
Yes, Rob. And I just responded to him. I said, yes. And also, some quarterbacks do take time to get good in this league. It does happen. Sometimes they take so much time, they don't get good till they're somewhere else. So you guys don't all want to be sitting there watching Cam Ward light the world up for the Indianapolis Colts now, do you? In 2032. Just saying. Santa in Portland says we've had 2 full years of watching Latham imitate a saloon door, only 1 year of Ward with 3 different head coaches. Ward's ceiling much higher than Latham's. Ward simply suffers from saloon door traumatic syndrome. I like that one.
That's good.
I think there is some of. It looked like there was. I didn't think that going into the year. I didn't think that last year necessarily. The other night did look like a guy who does not trust his offensive line a couple times, like just ready to tuck a little quickly when people are breaking open and there's time to throw.
Wouldn't it be Mandor traumatic syndrome?
That's a MDTS.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. I mean, it's, like Texture says, I love how the conversations change week by week. LOL. Last week before the preseason game, we're talking about can Cam get 4,000 yards after the preseason game? Is he going to be a bust? And I said, well, I mean, both of those things are still actually on the table, I think.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah, it's.
I don't know that anything's changed there.
So when he plays well, we'll start talking about when he plays well for a couple of days. He had some good practices. He and Carnell Tate look good. That was a disappointing thing, too. It was like Carnell, they weren't able to get him like a play while Stribling over there is, well, doing whatever the heck he wants to do against the Titans, which brings us to your topic.
Well, it does bring us that. So it was not good from the secondary. We talked about that, in the in-between of people throwing shots at Cam Ward on Friday, where there was a lot of talk about the secondary when it comes to Cordell Flott specifically. Like, I didn't think Taylor had a great game. I didn't think he did anything especially egregious in the game, but I'd like to see a little bit more from Alontae Taylor. I thought Flott was actively bad in that game. And when you combine the game that we saw, plus, Nick Suss on last week, he was talking about the secondary and Hooker and Flott in the joint practice. It starts to make you wonder, okay, well, is this just like a Kyle Shanahan? He's really, really good, and this Stribling kid's going to be unbelievable. Is that it? Or do you look at Cordell Flott and you say, whew, starting to get a little worried about what the Titans secondary may look like?
Yeah, that was a flop, if you will, in that game. And it kind of adds up over a few days of what is happening with these guys. I'm with you. Taylor wasn't like a huge red flag, but Flott, I think he got targeted 7 times and gave up 7 completions, I believe.
It's not good. So,
yes. And we've talked about Amani Hooker, such an important player in this team. Not great early returns. I would say that's a legit concern. I also think these guys are going to look better once you get the full impact of your best players on the team, up front, pushing the pocket from the interior. There's someone mentioned earlier, I do think that Oladejo is you're seeing something with him. Again, I don't know that it translates into a lot of production as a pass rusher, which is the point of when you draft someone there, but he looked physical and certainly an early down guy who is going to be part of a good run defense. I mean, I totally expect this to be a good run defense. I expect them to be able to manufacture pass rush and get a lot of interior push. So all that's going to help the secondary. It's going to look different when they have everybody. But still, you got to cover people some. You got to cover people here and there a little bit, couple seconds maybe.
Well, and then
give them a couple seconds.
I think everybody would feel good about obviously Simmons and John Franklin Myers together and what that could mean for the Titans in the interior. I still think there are pretty large question marks on the edge, and just in terms of how much pass rush are you generating straight up? Is Jermaine Johnson going to be able to generate a lot of pass rush? I like some of what I saw from Falk in the game. I thought he had some good reps out there. What's that going to look like as the year goes on? So if you're not going to be overly strong in the secondary, you can help that out by generating a good pass rush. I mean, I think the nightmare scenario is, hey, maybe the secondary isn't as good as you hoped it was going to be, and the pass rush either takes a long time to get going or just isn't overly productive this year based on the fact that you're going to have, a rookie playing important minutes, a guy that has been a good player in the league in Johnson, but had a major injury a couple years ago, and we'll see if he's the same guy or not. Like, there is a scenario, and I hope it doesn't happen this way, but there is a scenario where their secondary is not very good and their pass rush isn't quite good enough to get home early, and you're kind of stuck in the in-between there if you're the Titans, and that's not a good place to be.
No. All like the edge guys too, all of them are like counting heavily on 98 and 91. I had to look up that JFM's 91, by the way. 98 and 91, just
they got to wreak some havoc.
They absolutely wrecking shop. Yep. And I mean, look, I think
they should, by the way.
Yeah, they should. Like, that should make a difference. That's where with the defense, while we're gonna see, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we'll see. It's after another joint practice, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of the offensive starters Sunday in that preseason game. And that's what you're gonna have. The O-line, the backs, the whole deal, the skill guys. But we're not gonna see what this defense really is, and especially what the actual strength is until the Jets come to
Correct. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, Joe kind of hit my point, man. I don't think we're going to see anything until week one. But the most concerning thing to me was that when there was like a 8-yard, 8-and-in route. He caught, or the receiver caught it, and he stuck him and then got up and danced. I was like, oh, my God, dude. Like, if you're celebrating giving up 8 yards, that's not great, because it wasn't like I stopped him on third down type play. It was like I made a tackle. That's concerning, dude. So I hope Saleh sees something and says something when it comes to that crap, dude. Because celebrating should be banned until you get over 500. Like, you should not be allowed to celebrate. I think that should be a thing in the league. If you're losing, like if you're awful, you shouldn't be allowed to celebrate. I hate it. I especially hate it with my team, dude. So.
I agree. Let's make the NFL North Korea. Man, you will solemnly march to your sideline after your touchdown.
Celebrations for winners, dude.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah. You have to have a winning record to celebrate.
Get a flag thrown on you.
Hey, was that a smile? Turn around and walk back to that sideline.
I will say sometimes these corners in particular drive me nuts when they start celebrating like a ball where they just got completely torched on the play, but the quarterback overthrew it. Let's go. Oh, good. Yeah, great defense out there, bub.
Well, at least that's like they didn't give up a play. But yeah, to Adam's point, it's like, hey, I only gave up an 8-yard reception. I'm giving up an average of 15.3 per. So great job. Look at me, Mom.
Yes. Robert Nashville says, what I'm hearing is Cam looks good in practice because our secondary stinks. Put up against a different team secondary backups, he looks terrible. In fact, his Ward looked like Levis, and it's going to equal 3 wins possibly this season. Yeah.
Well, that's a pessimistic view.
I did wonder, though.
It may not be inaccurate, but it is pessimistic.
Well, the first part of his text there, I did, as I'm watching all this go down, particularly when I'm watching Flott just get absolutely torched out there by Stribling. And look, I remember Stribling in college. He's a good player. I don't know if he was like that. He looked like second coming to Jerry Rice out there on Thursday.
That is totally like the Niners that get that dude in the second round. He's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. So that'll be interesting. But like, I was watching that and I was like, okay, it's okay.
And then he comes right out next day. Yeah. Woo, he looked way better. Yeah. Why is that? I wonder.
Wow. There's no Titans secondary play within 6 yards of any receiver out there. Okay.
Got away from the substation and a professional secondary. This texter says, that's the first time I've ever agreed with Adam from Portland, and I usually hate that guy. Be nice.
Come on now. Come on.
Everybody loves Adam from Portland. Come on.
We'll have the Rex Rant coming up next. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
All I know is I'm pathetic.
Let's go to Jack. His coach, obviously, a miscalculation there, and you're upset. Tell me about it.
Very upset. We should have been in the ball game with fast field goal. The coach had sent him in. We shouldn't have sent him in. That's a dang coaching mistake. That the kids are playing their tail off, and the coaches are screwing it up.
The field is ass right now, end quote.
Put his ass into a guy. And
If you want to ride, gas, grass, or ass.
So explain to me, what was the motivation for deciding to eat the grass?
Joe is such a get off my grass old man.
Always kind of just tasted a little piece of grass just to change the taste of my mouth.
I smoke weed constantly.
Is Cleveland bad for your marriage?
Yeah, I went to Cleveland, Ohio for the first time. I would not recommend it.
And you'll shut up and listen.
It is time for the Rex Rant, served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville. Joe Rexrode back in the saddle today. Joe, the floor is yours.
I thought maybe we'd have a grass. So let me ask you, Ian. So when something like that happens and we talk about grass, gas, or ass, in a nice van of the 1970s, like the Mystery Machine. So, like, are you able to like search up? Like, do you search up? Can you search up things like by a keyword?
What do you mean, like in our system?
Yeah, because it feels.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I can.
Okay.
Plus, I have a folder of stuff in here.
He's memorized it.
Yeah. But it's like I feel like whenever a theme emerges, you're able to like find stuff that hits a word sometimes. So I'm learning about your job.
Yep, we go in here. You can do a little search. Keyword search is, I'd say that's fair phrase to put.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Fascinating. Trying to learn about, the best part of the show. So I had a couple things today. I was going to actually keep it going with, the Cam thing. I saw a tweet and I'm failing to find it now. But it was a Titans fan, and it was essentially like
TikTok.
It was not Tic Tac Titans.
Okay.
It was someone I hadn't heard of. It was Titans Twitter, but it was basically like, fans, fans getting all over Cam, worried about Cam. This is why we never have a franchise quarterback, because we never give them enough time. And I'm just like, no. You gave Levis enough time. You gave Mariota enough time.
Vince.
You gave Jake Locker enough time. You gave Vince Young enough time. Like, no one, that's not ever true of any of them. So what? But I lost a tweet. And then I saw this other tweet from Big Orange Mag. I have never heard of this. So I showed Robbie during the break. We got to talk about this. And I'm also failing to find this, by the way. But he retweeted this. And it was someone who had retweeted it and said, like, whatever, like, we need to come up with a slur for these people, which is like people who have children who have a hat ceremony for picking their travel team.
At like age 9.
Like a 9-year-old kid with balloons at a table. I'm going with, I'm going to go play for the Hendersonville Explosion. Yeah. I'm going with the Bears over the Cougars. I mean, are you serious? That's actually a thing. I've never heard of this, and I've been through all the travel sports stuff. I mean, I've been through a lot of the stuff. I know most of the stuff, or at least that has gone on. A lot of it's really stupid, and there's been plenty of rants about it here. I've never heard of a hat ceremony for a kid picking a freaking travel team, like a elementary school kid. Is this a thing, or is this like a one-time thing? Please tell me it's a one-time, it's ever happened in society, and it will never happen again. And this is not something that's like a thing. If it's a thing, if it's a thing, again, it's just one more reason we're all dying soon.
I bet it's more than one. This is 100% the parents' fault. You cannot allow this stuff to happen if you're the parent.
Well, they're in the picture with them.
I know.
The balloons on the tail, like, yay, Johnny! Yeah, all right. Now let's go drive 8 hours and stay at $250 a night hotel that's mandated that we stay at, and then I'll have to pay every day also to park and to get in to watch you play baseball.
But at least you chose your own team. Yeah, I mean, look, travel sports are its own thing. And look, I play travel baseball, so I get it. Like I know what it entails, but there's enough problems with it just kind of on the surface. You don't need to add any problems to it. You don't need to turn this into some college recruiting ceremony for your 9-year-old. Let's start to be parents at some point.
I mean, the thing as I'm thinking about this, like actually, like Brennan would have loved doing this when he was like,
I'm sure he would
picking his it's like youth football team or his, he was picking between travel soccer. I mean, he would have loved this stuff. Okay. Yeah, wait, Graham and Grandpa are coming in. We're going to have a nice ceremony for Brennan. He's going with Eris. Woo!
What goes in the decision between Little League teams?
Yeah.
Playing time?
Facilities? How's that look?
Well, I mean, yeah, because
Friends?
like in all seriousness, for
who's on your team? Or
for him, he tried out. First of all, he had to try out.
Okay.
And then they were like, yeah, like he was good enough. So then it's like, congratulations. Now pay us money. So you will you'll be on this trail. But yeah, I mean, it's, convenience, where's practice? Yeah. What's the cost? How good is it? Okay, this team has been, kids switch hoops teams all the time. Right. And sometimes they'll load up and kids want to play together. There's a lot of stuff like that. But like the idea that it would be, I just, that's something that's never crossed my mind.
No.
And there's actually a picture of it. If anybody out there has actually heard of this being a thing other than in this situation, please let me know. Oh, there's some great text on this.
There are.
Some great text on this. And by the way, I was also going to maybe make the rant about Jaden Daniels, It's almost 7:55, but I don't want to say 55, for fear of getting sued by Jaden Daniels.
He owns the
we
number.
got that one too. Yeah.
Owns the number.
You guys have any fun with that?
We didn't get to that on Friday.
Okay.
We probably should have.
Well, we need to have some fun with that this week.
We can.
Jaden Daniels now, I wonder if he was a kid who had a hat ceremony when he picked a travel team. I must say.
It's going to start happening with 5-year-olds playing baseball for the first time. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go play for the Parks team out here, but I'm the Giants this year, so that's what I'll pick.
Or is it like, let's have a hat ceremony. I'm going to do peanut butter and strawberry jelly instead of grape jelly.
Like, do we have to? This is another parents thing. Like, do we have to post everything? Like, do you have to create some sort of pomp and circumstance for absolutely everything?
Yeah.
Is that where we're at now?
It's a fair question. I want to be careful in ripping that because, I don't participate in Facebook, and Katie does. So I know that she sometimes puts stuff when the kids have, but I don't feel like it's
it's normal stuff.
Yeah, it's like stuff that you would think that would be, hey, graduation.
Hey, here's my 9-year-old's college recruiting ceremony pick for this travel team going on.
I'm really disappointed that I can't find this. I think we need to find these people's names and shame them. I'm going to work on that. I mean, there's not a different Big Orange Mac, right?
Well,
there's only one Big Orange Mac in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because here's another thing. Here's another rant. So on Twitter now, it separates it when you go to someone's account for their posts or their repo. You notice this?
I wouldn't know.
Nope.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, no, good for you. So I was looking at his posts. Here we go. Now they've separated it. So now you have to go to the repost. Okay. All right. Here we go. We don't have names, but it's the mom and the dad and this kid. So excited for Lex as he starts his travel ball journey with B3 Elite 7U. And there's a cross, a baseball, and a heart. And they're sitting here at the end of the table with 3 freaking hats. I mean, these people need to be arrested.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Cory Curtis to the program from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Cory, good morning. How are you?
I'm adequate this morning, Robert. How are you?
Have you recovered from your trip to the San Francisco area, Santa Clara? Did you survive the substation out there?
I did survive the substation. You know, I like California. I like the weather a lot. It was 82 and sunny there with no humidity. So
pretty good.
That was nice. And I had no ill effects from the substation.
It was not 82 and no humidity here, just in case you were wondering.
I know. That's why I was gloating.
Yes, very hot. So, Cory, you were there doing an outstanding job on the television broadcast for this game on Thursday. So let's start on the Cam Ward front. The Titans offense goes 95 yards down the field. First drive of the game, They scored a touchdown. A couple of nice runs in there from Pollard and Spears, and nice play over the middle to Ridley on a third down. Pick up a screen to Gunnar Helm on third down. All that looked good, and then did not go well for Ward or the Titans offense after that when it came to the starters. So I guess my question to you is this. When you look at Ward's performance on Thursday, obviously some misses and some plays that you just can't have. How much of it do you just chalk up to, all right, it's preseason, let's not overreact? And how much of that was legitimately concerning to you?
Well, I think a one-game sample isn't enough to, jump off the bridge here. I mean, I think, certainly you want to see him play better. You look at it, and again, it comes down to, the first thing is taking the layups, because the two best offensive plays in the passing game were layups in that first drive, right? You talked about the screen pass to Gunnar Helm, and it was 3rd and 3. And so you just had a little crosser to Calvin Ridley, boom, and then he turns it upfield. And, I think it was on the intentional grounding. I think he had Gunnar Helm, wide open back to his left, and he just needs to dump it off to him. And so it's, part of it's taking the layups. I don't know about you guys, and I heard Robert Saleh talked about how Cam was sped up. He looked like he was trying to operate too quickly. And I think, these last two games, you'd like to see him, slow down his mechanics. And that doesn't mean, play at a slow rate. It just means, even when it's a quick drop, plant and throw, you do that. You take the time to, do your drop, plant and throw, and you're not throwing off of, an off balance base because you're trying to rush through it. Because, a few of those passes, 2 to Wandale are close. The one to Ellick is really close, and if he just completes 2 or 3 of those, which he needs to do, then things look a lot differently. I think you have to go back to what you've seen lately in camp and say, okay, we've seen a lot of good practices in camp. We've seen a lot of connections in camp. We'll see how it goes this week. So I always say, if you see it in preseason game number 2, preseason game number 3, then it's concerning. But one time you take note of it and you go, okay, well, let's see how he responds.
Well, he responded the next day, Cory, by tearing up that Titans defense. Where's the – so then it's like, wow, he seems to have a good time when he's playing against the Titans defense, which, of course, we've talked about.
I know where you're going here.
Yeah. So what's the concern level for you with that secondary in particular right now after watching them in this game?
I mean, they've got to be better. And, again, it's a small sample size, but it's all we've got with that group because they're all new. And so they've got to be better. It's got to be tighter. You got to finish plays. It's a new group playing a new defense together. So there is going to be an acclimation, period. But, being tighter on receivers is being tighter on receivers. And, they need to be tighter, especially against guys who aren't the first stringers. And, they've got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp this week in practice. So, we'll see. Lante Taylor says he wants, thinks they could be the best, secondary in the league. Well, then you got to show it. You got to, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And these guys know that. And, I'm sure film was not great for them. It was not a heck of a lot of fun. And again, we'll see how they respond because, it certainly has to be better. And, a better pass rush would probably help them out a little bit too. There was not a ton of heat on Curtis Rourke out there.
So I liked some of what I saw from Keldrick Falk and Femi Oladeja. Like Femi had a nice TFL, a couple of TFLs in the game there. Him. No one blocked him on that first one. You had Falk making a couple plays out there. Not a ton of sample size for him. But how are we feeling about how those two guys, those young guys out on the edge are coming along?
Yeah, I mean, I pointed out that nobody blocked Femi on the first play. And he finished it, number one. That's the most important thing. And I do feel like, and it was against backups, but I do feel like he was more disruptive than he has been. Keldrick started the game. Both of them played a ton.
Yep.
And so I'm going to guess both will continue to play a ton as the preseason goes on because the starters are going to play even more in the next game. I think Keldrick is a work in progress because he's 21 years old. But, he's got elite length and he's coachable. And, we'll see, where he goes. I think he showed his play effort was good. He's got to learn to win more one-on-one battles. And I think, for him, there's just going to be a lot of learning his craft when it comes to the pass rush.
So the right side of the offensive line, you've got Fernando Carmona, who's really coming on here. And it looks like, it looks like it's his job at this point. And I thought J.C. Latham, I thought he looked like he's in better shape and did some really good things. Do you feel differently about the right side of the offensive line after this performance?
Well, again, they're playing against backups. So you have to take that into account. But look, JC for me was a continuation of what I've seen in camp, and that's a more aggressive, more violent player. And he needed to be more aggressive and more violent player. He is so big and so strong that, he should be beating people up and manhandling them out there. And you just go watch the replay of the first run play of the game for the Titans. He completely collapses the right side down to the center. And that's why that thing goes for 12 yards. And, Carmona, he obviously isn't a finished product at this point, but what he is he's big and physical. And that's a good place to start, in my opinion, when you're looking at a right guard. So if he can lock down this position, and it certainly sounds, you're right, like it's his to lose, you could have about 700 pounds over there that's physical. And, if they continue to play in that way, and, they ran that way on the first play for a reason. And so we'll see if that can continue, to develop, because that would be a nice development for the Titans. And I don't know if you saw when Volson got in there, it wasn't great.
It did not go well.
No. And so, if you're the Titans, frankly, you need Carmona to hang on to that position. Because like right now I would go Carmona, Slater, then Volson, or I would have Andre James in there at 2 or 3. And I would have, from what I saw from Volson, have him considerably further back there. But, if he winds up being your guard for years, it's a really good draft pick.
Yep, no doubt about that. So, Cory, from the moment that the Titans drafted Cam Ward, we have been waiting on, and by we, I mean everybody in this town basically talk about it. We've been waiting on somebody to be like, hey, I really want Will Levis on my football team. I'll give the Titans a 6th-round pick. Or, hey, I'll give the Titans a 7th-round pick. And then, I watch him play, Cory, and based on, and you tell me if I'm wrong, based on what I've heard out of the reports of training camp, it's not going much better. It just looked awful the other night. And so, look, the offensive line in front of him wasn't great. He got sacked 3 times. He's the only Titans quarterback to get sacked. He got crushed on a couple of plays because –
I don't think wasn't great really covers it.
Yeah, he was terrible in the game. I mean,
no, I meant the offensive line in front of him.
Yeah.
He had no shot back there a lot of times. But, yeah.
He did. Now, he missed wide open throws as well and Restrepo, but that's another thing. I guess my question is, at what point do we need to maybe start to accept that nobody's coming calling for Will Levis, and the Titans are going to have to eventually just figure out what they want to do with him? Because I think we're starting to get there.
Well, yeah. Look, you can't hope something into existence. All right. You have to be real. And, he's one of 90 on the roster right now. And, he is a potential asset, which is what I've kind of always said here. And so you continue to coach him and you continue to work with him in hopes that he becomes an asset that either A, you want to keep as your roster as a number 3, or, like you said, somebody would want to get to him. I mean, I think, without question, Will has, look, he's struggled much of his career, but he's looked better than he has in this camp and in this preseason game. That was tough, but it was a tough circumstance, I would say as well. But I think there's a distinct possibility you might get a pick swap for him or something, but I don't know right now that anybody's willing to give up hard assets for him. And look, there's better circumstances for Will right now, than being here, because I'm sure he can talk himself up, and that's good. He needs to, but it's got to be a little debilitating when you go from the starting quarterback down to number 3. And so a fresh start somewhere for him is probably the best thing. But, if you're looking for a payday for him, I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, if the Titans expose him on waivers,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody wants him at all.
Because you have to sign him to your active roster. Would that actually happen? I can't, I would not have guessed I would ask that question, but I think it's askable. I think
somebody
now.
Probably takes a flyer on him because of the talent, and to keep him as a third. See if you who I look at. Daniel Jones goes on waivers and who picks him up? Kevin O'Connell. And I look up at Minnesota. JJ McCarthy. As much as Will struggles, JJ McCarthy's awful. Would they sign him as a 3 to see? Hey, in a year, can he be something to compete with what we've got, Kyler and JJ? Or would Liam Cohen pick him up down in Jacksonville because they had great success together at Kentucky? Would the guy in Carolina, pick him up, just on a flyer to, back up Bryce and think, if Bryce, regresses just a little bit, maybe we can coach this guy up and he can give us something. He's got a lot of talent, but he needs time and coaching. I think there are places out there that might take a look, on that whole aspect of, there's talent there and we think we can get it out of him.
We need a Levis Anthony Richardson CFL championship showdown.
Sure do.
In the near future.
And so, Corey, if you're in charge of the Tennessee Titans, how much are you playing the starting offense on Sunday against Seattle?
About 25 to 30 plays. That's how much I'm playing them, because that's how much Robert Saleh says he's going to play them. So, look, I don't have a hard time with these guys playing. I just don't. I mean, Andy Reid plays the starters every year. He's a pretty good coach. Robert Saleh's got to learn what he's got. He's got guys learning to work together in new systems. They've won 6 games in 2 years. We have seen, whether you play in the preseason or not, injuries happen. The Titans didn't play their starters a lot in the preseason under Vrabel and suffered a gajillion injuries. And he always talked about developing calluses. And Robert Saleh is a guy who believes you learn to play football and you get in football shape by playing football. And so, we'll see them ramp up here and see how it goes. And, I can say it now, if guys get hurt, they get hurt. But, you can't run from injuries in the NFL. They're inevitable. And if the goal is to win games, you got to play and get better. And there are so few padded practices now during the season. I understand the want to steal 3 more, which is basically what this is.
Cory Curtis with us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock here on the program. Corey, by the way, you did an awesome job in the broadcast on Thursday. Looking forward to more.
Always.
Thanks. I bet you guys couldn't tell me one thing I talked about.
I can tell you one thing you talked about. I saw your Twitter poll question to start the whole thing off. Matter of fact, I was mad in the first quarter.
You wanted to vote, but you couldn't vote.
It took them forever to get to you. I was like, are they ever going to get to Corey on the broadcast? You almost went the whole first quarter.
I mean, you got to go to the beauty way earlier than this.
I always tell everybody that, if you're looking for me in the first quarter, it's probably not going to happen, because the first quarter is, it's number one when the starters are in. So they're going to center more on the game at that point. and they're also kind of getting everything established. We had a new producer for the first time in probably 20 years on the Texas Network last night. So, or Thursday night. So that was something. He did a good job.
And you had to carry the whole thing as usual.
I
that
did.
didn't change.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I think it's a lie, but I appreciate it. And by the way, we will not have the next preseason game, but we do have the last one against the Bears, where the starters will also be featured heavily.
There we go.
And then we get to wait 2 more weeks for actual football. Yay.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. Cory, thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. Cory Curtis from News 2 with us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. We'll react to what Cory had to say. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Own the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Appreciate Cory Curtis for being with us in the last segment.
I do.
Disappointed that he will not be on the call for this weekend's game. But
yep. We'll get through it.
We'll get the finale.
And by the way,
what is it on this week? Fox?
Yeah, I think that's
correct.
Right. Yeah. Appreciate that. And I would appreciate you when there are significant Alyssa Milano developments on the television. You can stop me mid-show, mid-rant, whatever. Just let me know. Okay?
You'd never finish the rant. You know?
That's just a great show for anybody who has never watched Charmed.
Have you ordered the fathead yet? Of Alyssa Milano?
I haven't.
We think that'd be allowed in the house?
Well, if we can have a full-size Jason Bateman cutout, then we can have an Alyssa Milano fathead. Let me see.
Where's the Bateman cutout live?
It's in Katie's office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's only fair. So I'm now
cutout of you
Googling
in there?
Alyssa Milano fathead. No.
You know a story that really freaked me out yesterday? So we went to, go to church, go to lunch with a family after church. I'm in an establishment in Hendersonville. Go to the restroom in there, and I look to my left, and there's a picture of me just kind of staring at it. It's me and you. On a little social indoor advertising going on there. But I was like, hey, look, there's me and Joe right up here in the bathroom. Cool.
You're famous.
Yeah.
Nice. But it wasn't like above the urinal?
No, it was not.
Okay, because I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So when we really make it, our faces will be on urinal cakes.
Maybe one day.
Ian, there we go.
Maybe one day. By the way, Keith on the text line said, Ian's file folder for clips is bigger than Callahan's playbook here was for the Titans. Probably so.
Yes. Also, lots of reaction to the travel parent hat ceremony. And someone told me that this has happened in Nolansville. So
your people.
I wish I could say I'm surprised.
Come on, Nolansville. We got to be better. Come on.
I'm not. But Friday's still for nights.
It's good. When's that get rolling, by the way? Next week?
Well, wait a minute. Is it Friday?
We might have our first game blitz on Friday. Let me see.
I think it's Friday.
Wow. I mean, it does this every year. But every time high school football starts.
Yeah, we got our first game blitz this week.
Yeah. Like it feels like it just gets earlier every year, but it doesn't. Like this is when it goes, but it always just shocks me.
Our game of the week is MBA at Pearl Cone.
There you go.
Yeah. By the way, quick shout out to the Tennessean. They're doing a cool series on Pearl Cone, and it's a great idea, and it's some really cool stuff out of that. So check that out. It would be and also check out high school football. We're sitting here complaining about we don't get NFL. College next week. Go support local high school football. I'll be out there for the Knights.
Hendersonville Gallatin coming up Friday.
Okay.
Sign me up. Let's go. Here we go.
There you go.
Nice.
I'm now I'm good. You got about 2,500 yards in that arm, young man. Looking tough. That's what I am now that my son's gone.
That Dave's confused?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
25 Letterman, 10 starters, looking tough. Thank you.
Oh, Garci's listening right now.
Yeah. Well, he's never seen the movie.
I know.
What kind of a loser has never seen the movie Dazed and Confused? You have to be a loser to not know that. Like,
I saw a clip from McConaughey a couple of days ago where that's his all-time favorite movie that he's made. Given everything he's done.
I mean,
that's his all-time favorite.
I mean, it has to be.
He's incredible, that movie.
Yeah.
I think you ought to ditch the two geeks here and go out there with us at the moon tide, but we'll deal with that later.
That's pretty good McConaughey.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Thank you.
It's good stuff.
I mean, like, if you haven't seen that movie, you guys have obviously seen this movie.
Yes.
You're young. You guys are young. The movie came out in like 94. Like, if you have not seen the movie Dazed and Confused, I take it back. You're not a loser, but your life is not as fulfilled as it could be.
Yeah.
Watch the movie.
It's even got your boy in it. A little Ben Affleck action.
Well, it's the only good acting performance he's ever had. Playing a total D-bag. Be a lot cooler if you did.
It's like, wow, Ben, that really came naturally to you, that role there, huh?
I mean, that's like by far the best performance of his career.
You didn't like him in Batman?
God, whoever made that decision.
Listen, I haven't seen the most recent Batman with Robert Pattinson. There are people that tell me it's good. I can't get there. Like,
I've heard he's okay.
I can't do Robert Pattinson as Batman for whatever reason.
I totally get that. I did see it at the theater. I think Jack and I went and saw it at the theater, and he's good. I totally agree with you that, and he's not great. I mean, Christian Bale, because those
it's hard to
those movies are the best movies, best Batman movies. I mean, for me, it's probably still Adam West, right? But no, Pattinson actually does a good job. I mean, Pattinson compared to Affleck, he's freaking Laurence Olivier. I mean, give him all the Oscars. I mean, my God, Affleck. Oh
man.
Oh, Banyan, great role for him. Again, if you people don't know what I'm talking about right now, if you're not getting these references, you need to go watch Jason Confused today.
Affleck's not
right
bad
after you watch
in,
Spinal Tap.
He's not bad in The Accountant. I kind of like The Accountant. Pretty good.
Now, the one movie that is good, but he doesn't necessarily make it any better, but he doesn't screw it up, is the movie about the hostage in Iran.
Oh yeah. What is that movie called? Is it Argo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Argo, fart yourself. Yes. Yes, Argo. That's a great movie.
Well,
and he doesn't screw up the movie, so that to me is,
Air
that's a
was
win.
on the other day, which I kind of like that movie, but with him and Damon, because they can't.
Yeah, I
separate
love the
themselves from
movie.
each other.
Yeah,
but every time he comes on the screen, I just start thinking of you. I'm like, yeah, he does kind of suck as an actor.
He doesn't really help a movie. Matt Damon's a great actor, and they're best friends, and so he's ridden his coattails, but he doesn't make movies better. Matt Damon does.
You think he was good in Armageddon?
I mean, I've never seen that movie, and I never will.
Really?
No.
That movie's on TV all the time.
Some Ben Affleck stupid action movie about a meteor or something.
Armageddon's a good movie, man.
Yeah, I don't.
He's
believe
like,
you. I don't believe you.
I don't know that he's high on the list of why it's a good movie, but it's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Glenn from Greenbrier is saying Michael Keaton, and he's a great one too, because that first Batman that came out in '89 with Jack Nicholson as a Joker is great. I still kind of feel like Michael Keaton's a little bit miscast as Batman, but he was good. Like Kilmer, that's a tough one.
And Christian Bale's the best Batman.
Clooney wasn't great either.
Clooney was not good.
Nah. Bale, yeah, those movies are like, I mean, The Dark Knight is like a Oscar-worthy movie, and you don't say that ever about superhero movies.
I watched
quote unquote superhero movies.
The Clooney one, not like that's the one I grew up watching. As, like a 6-year-old.
Right.
So I watched it again, like probably 7 or 8 months ago. Boy, is it bad! It is not good.
Yeah. So like the '89 one, which was I think that was Tim Burton, right?
I believe. Yeah, I think so.
Like that's a good movie, and then the sequels to that got progressively worse.
Yeah.
It was. They just kept getting worse, and it became as almost as campy as the series. And then what's his name saved us?
Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whose movie out now? I still haven't seen. Have you guys seen
I haven't either.
Nope. Odyssey.
Happening this week, I think. I think it's happening this week.
All right.
It's too long. I don't have time for all that.
Time.
No, I don't know if I can say. I mean, I've heard it's very entertaining and it goes by quickly, but 3 hours seems like a long time.
Yeah, it is an investment, man.
It is.
I mean, how many pee breaks do I have to take to watch that movie? Yeah. Got to time it up, baby.
We'll get back into the Titans coming up next. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Jim on the text line, talking to Rexrode, says, your life isn't as fulfilled as it could be if you haven't watched Armageddon. I got to stop and watch it every time. Bruce Willis, Steve Buscemi, Billy Bob, Owen Wilson, many more.
Buscemi? Okay, Buscemi makes me like it a little more for that. So
he's prominent in this film.
Billy Bob's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like if it's on TV sometime, I will promise to pause for a few minutes to like say I've watched some of it. I've never watched one.
I can already tell you that Affleck will highly irritate you in that movie. Very much so.
Yeah. So I mean, you're basically on board with what I'm saying about him. He's
not very good.
He's not very good.
Yeah, he's not very good.
Yeah. Oh my God. Justin says, Dazed and Confused didn't appeal to me, Joe. I haven't seen it. I don't feel any less fulfilled in my life for it. Well, watch it. Again, people think that like it's like it's like Pink Floyd The Wall or something. Like it's a movie about kids in the 70s who smoke weed. That's why Car's like, well, I would never watch that movie. But it's a great movie. It's not that happens, but it's not, it's not like you need to be like, mentally compromised to watch the movie. I mean, it's a really good movie. I swear. Help me out, guys.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, I love it.
It's a great movie.
I was not mentally compromised when I watched it, so that was good.
Yeah. So just trust me on this one, okay?
Yeah.
And thank you to Brian for this. Hello, Cleveland! Spinal Tap, which is still my number one thing that I tell everybody is you must watch this is Spinal Tap.
So we talked about this in the aftermath of preseason game 1 on Friday. Clearly Saleh wants his guys to play in the preseason here. And, I think when you look at not only the performance of Cam Ward in the first game, I think a lot of people want to see him in there for a little bit here, coming up against Seattle on Sunday. But you also have a pretty young team. You got a new system. You got all these things. And Saleh has called it, a ramp up. So, the way he's phrased it is ramp up period. So when you start off playing 20-something plays, if you're ramping up from that, I'm interested to see what that looks like the rest of the preseason. You heard Cory talk about it. It sounds like they're going to play, 25, 30 plays in this game against Seattle. What do you make of that? Do you like it? How do you weigh the risk versus reward? If you're Robert Saleh, where do you come down on all that with your starters?
Yeah, I'm not playing, I'm just not playing 98. Anybody who is really good, a veteran and really valuable, who doesn't need preseason game work, I'm just not playing him at all. So I don't like even putting Simmons out there I'm sorry. And some coaches might look at it like, well, you don't want to, you don't want to put someone above the team or whatever. I don't know if that's part of it. He doesn't need a rep in a preseason game.
He does not.
He does not need one freaking rep in a preseason game. I wouldn't play him another snap. So who else would you, another position I would look at, like if I considered Tony Pollard, and he's a good player, but like if Tony Pollard was maybe a little bit higher level player, like he was a star, there'd be someone that's like, I don't need the running back to play.
Derrick Henry. He wasn't doing much in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah. So but other than that, I'm risking it. I'm risking injury to every single one of these offensive linemen, including my recently second deal signed golden boy at left guard. I don't care. That group, unlike you can take positions and you can isolate them largely and say, linebackers do this, corners do this, receivers do, but the offensive line, those 5 guys, it really is. It's like, it has to be like one person working in tandem. The combination blocks, the timing on stuff, all of it. It's very much a precision thing. It's not just big fat dudes smashing into people. There's a lot to it. I'm playing them a ton, and I'm risking it. I'm risking Skoronski and all of them, Latham, all of them, because it just has to be better. And you had a promising start, so I guess you can get to a certain point where it's like, okay, they're repped. But again, we're going to sit here when this NFL season starts, and we're going to hear about all the bad offensive line play around the league. And the Titans' margin for error is such that, including with their quarterback right now, such that even if you got promising developments, I'd play them a decent amount, like close to a half in these next 2 games. then you're still going to sit there for 2 weeks.
Well,
after that game.
Saleh said something in the aftermath of the game the other night that stuck with me, and I knew as soon as he said it that we're just going to see Ward a lot in the preseason. He said, Cam cannot get enough reps as we're sitting here right now, and I'm okay with that. Like, I think as a quarterback, part of being a successful quarterback in the league is you also have to learn how to protect yourself, and I actually think he's been pretty good at that. I mean, I know he got hurt in the last game last year, diving for the end zone. But, like, very rarely last year, Joe, did he take some hit where I was just like, oh, golly, dude, you got to get down. Like, I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered, last year of protecting himself. But I just think he needs to play. Like, I think he needs to play as much as you can play him. And, I wouldn't go out there and play him the whole game or anything like that. But, I'd probably in one of these next two, I'd probably play him for a half. Like, I'd leave the starters out there for a half and just let him go. And I'm with you. There's a risk that comes along with that. But, there's also a risk, not injury related, that comes along with doing it the other way. And that is you're just not ready to go by the time the regular season comes out there. I think, preseason and how you handle it has a lot to do with like the type of team that you have. Like, Seattle probably don't need a whole lot of work in the preseason. The Rams, they probably don't need to do a whole lot in the preseason with their starters. If you're the Titans, if you're the Raiders, if you're the Jets, yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, totally agree. And again, Andy Reid, someone brought it up earlier. I mean, he'll put Mahomes and those guys out there some. But yeah, I think play Cam. Cam needs to be out there with the offensive line. First of all, like if they're gonna play better, maybe that helps them by the time the season starts to slow down because like these guys are doing all right. And if they're not good, then well, I guess you got to get used to that too. But yeah, the timing, how much of these misses, it seems to me like, okay, take something off that throw or you just missed that throw. But there's still timing and all that stuff with the receivers. Like the starting offense and maybe like Pollard gets most of a night off and you let Spears play a lot. Yeah. And he looked good, by the way, I thought.
Yeah.
He looked good, So I would absolutely do that. I think it's important. And I think they obviously need to work. Cam needs to work. And then the defense, the defense, those secondary guys need to do something and have some confidence and come away and make some plays. But a lot of those guys, anyone that I consider like Jermaine Johnson, how much do you want to play him? I'm not playing him a ton, guys like that. But I might play Amani Hooker a decent amount and that secondary together a decent amount too, because that's also a communication and chemistry thing there that clearly right now they're lacking.
Well, and I think it's important on some level in a game setting too, going back to the offense. Like I need to see Tate and Ward develop some sort of connection in a game setting, right? Like they didn't get anything going the other night. And it's 3 series, so it's not like it's a huge 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More of your thoughts to get to on the Titans. Plus, we'll get back into the quarterback discussion and that battle going on with Tennessee. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. It is a Reaction Monday brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, quarterback competition going on at both Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Tennessee had their scrimmage this weekend. A lot of thoughts coming out of it on the George McIntyre versus Faison Brandon battle. What do you make of kind of where things stand on that front with Josh Heupel? There's another scrimmage coming up on Saturday. Typically speaking, he would probably make a decision in a normal year kind of right after that. We'll see what that looks like on this particular battle, but what do you make of where things stand with McIntyre versus Brandon?
Yeah, before the scrimmage, I talked to someone in the know, and I would say, I don't know about surprised, but definitely impressed with the way McIntyre has come out in camp, and also essentially, at times Brandon's looking like a freshman out there. Brandon's swimming a little bit out there. Now, it sounds like Brandon helped himself in the scrimmage, and sometimes that happens too. You're repping stuff in practice, you're working on stuff, you're installing stuff, whatever it is, and then it's a game situation, and some people just play better in those situations, and frankly, that's what you want, right? You like whichever. The scrimmages are important because it's like, okay, this is the operation. This is, we're going play by play. We're using the chains. Like, this is real football. How do you respond to that? Sound like he played well. So I'd still, at this point, I would, if I had to guess, if I had to predict, I would predict Brandon. I don't know if I would have said that like Friday, just because it's like, well, these things happen sometimes, right? You just, true freshman, I don't care what offensive system it is. This is a quarterback-friendly system, but there's a lot to it too. And Josh Heupel does not play true freshman. Nico, have a year, sit behind Joe Milton, get ready for next year. So I would have maybe leaned the other way. Now I'm going to go, because he played well in the scrimmage, I'm going to lean back toward Brandon. But I think it's more of a competition than people have given it credit for. And I think even we've kind of talked about it at times. It's almost like we're just dismissing George McIntyre, and I don't think that's a smart thing to do right now.
Yeah, I think it's clearly been a close battle between the two. I mentioned this earlier. I think one thing that's going to be really interesting here, they're both young. Honestly, if you want to just factor in youth here, I know McIntyre's been in the system for another year, but they both barely, in one instance has barely played football in college, and the other one hasn't at all. So you're basically walking into this blind from the standpoint of they just haven't played. I do wonder, like, how much is it going to come down to the style that Heupel wants to play? Because there's an element that Brandon has to his game that McIntyre just is not going to. Like, Brandon can run. Matter of fact, he runs really well. And I guarantee you, if he's the quarterback, there will be times where that's what they lean into, and they will say, go, just run out there. You're not going to get that with McIntyre, at least certainly not to the level that you're going to get it with Faison Brandon. Now, it's not everything. Like, you got to be able to, in this offense, you got to be able to operate it. You got to be able to hit plays down the field. You got to be able to hit plays over the middle. They changed up their offense last year and kind of expanded their playbook a little bit. And they had a very experienced quarterback that was able to handle all that. Can either one of these guys do that at a high enough level? And then the question beyond the obvious of who's going to start, whenever they pick their starter, whoever it is, whether it's McIntyre or Brandon, how good are they? Like, what level of quarterback play are we talking about here with Tennessee? Because I think it could be all over the map in terms of what they're getting. And if it's good, then I think, Tennessee's got, I've heard people say this, I would agree with it. It's the most talented roster that they've ever had. Now, a lot of that talent's young, and I don't know what that's going to mean this year, but it's a very talented roster. If they get good quarterback play, well, that's a pretty big deal. I know the schedule is what it is, but if they get good quarterback play, there's a lot to like about a lot of other areas on that team, particularly on offense.
Good quarterback play with that offensive line, with the running game they're going to have, with the receiving talent they have, they're going to score good points. And then if you want to get super optimistic, okay, you got Jim Knowles in there. And yes, some brutal losses on defense and a brutal absence in that big game against Georgia Tech early with Aaron Carter. But you've got some talent, and you've got to hope that some of these – Rodney Garner has been, I think, one of the best D-line coaches in the country. And so he's making – he's earning his money this year if he can get that group up to speed. I mean, of all the assistants on the staff, you probably, if there's like a position group of some young talent that you need to like get going, you probably would pick that guy's group, right?
Yep.
So can that, with the new D coordinator in, look better in some ways and be solid to go with, what could be a really explosive offense? I mean, I think if they get, we talked earlier in the show, like the Nico year, it's like 19-5, 2,600 yards. Not great, not big numbers. They didn't want to put too much on them. You probably want better than that. You want more. You want the numbers to be bigger than that. You're probably going to throw the ball. But at the same time, if you can be okay on defense, the running game is going to.
They're going to run the ball.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball. So you don't make the mistakes. You don't turn the ball over. You got a chance to. You're going to be in a lot of, I think, close games and have a chance to have a better season than some people think.
Vandy Chris on the YouTube chat says, I have to think both starters at Tennessee and Vanderbilt in game 1 will not be the starters by like week 3. GMAC and Blaze Berlowitz may start week 1, and then they work in the freshmen to take over later in the year. What do you make of that?
Yeah, but like you were saying earlier, it is a different situation. It's like at Vanderbilt, you feel like it's somewhat inevitable that Jared Curtis gets that job this year
at some point.
Whereas, like if George McIntyre beats out Faison Brandon and starts the week, I mean, if he plays well, then I think, I think with Vanderbilt, you could sit there and say with the whole season, you obviously want Jared Curtis to be engaged, and you want him to be excited about next year. It's really interesting with Tennessee because, again, they're both young, talented quarterbacks. Yeah, Brandon may have a higher ceiling. He's more athletic, all these things. But if McIntyre's better and he gives you a better chance to win, then I think you can't. To me, it's not as cut and dry like, oh, Curtis has got, like, you're so worried about Curtis. If McIntyre's that good, then he's your quarterback. And that may be meaning that you lose Brandon in the offseason, But if you found a good quarterback in the meantime who then has 3 years of eligibility after this, then okay.
Bottom line is, regardless of who you choose, if you're Heupel, you got to choose the right one, and they've got to be a good player for you. Like you're going to lose one of them. Like, it's just what it is. And I think he was basically asked about that earlier in training camp, and basically acknowledged that that's probably the case. Like, his answer was, yeah, that seems to be how it works in college football now. So like you're going to lose one of them. Yeah. So how much do you factor in the ceiling in the picture? I don't know. Regardless of which one you choose, pretty quickly into it, they're going to have to play some pretty high level football for you. I mean, it's as simple as that. And if you lose another one and they go somewhere else and play really well, that's just the name of the game in today's football. But whichever one you choose, you better be right. That's the choice for Heupel.
Yeah, and there will be times, it happens all the time. Any program out there can probably think of a QB who left and clearly was like the lesser of a competition, went somewhere else, and especially now there's so much. I mean, shoot,
people got all over Kirby for Justin Fields leaving and going to Ohio State. Remember that?
Oh man, that's right. I forgot about that one. I mean, Michigan State had Sam Leavitt, and it was like, Aiden Child's way more talented than that dude. And now look at him. I mean, he's a Heisman candidate at LSU. It happens. You got to make. I mean, to me, Josh Heupel, you have to win football games now. Decision. If you think Brandon's going to be like next year way better than him, then okay, then I guess you factor that into the equation. But
if you think that,
you'll trust your eyes, right?
If you think that, you'll probably start to see some of that this year, would be my guess.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe to the point of the post there, maybe I could see like George starting early and Brandon taking over. But if George gets the start, he's going to have an opportunity to keep it.
Yes. That does it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody has a fabulous rest of their day. Next man up, Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.